Good morning, Professor and fellow students, and welcome to our presentation. Greenzyme Technologies from Bangalore, India, is a startup venture focusing on developing affordable green technology solutions and products for the Indian market. Irrway is India's first green personal mobility vehicle suitable for short-distance mobility needs of urban India, with the tagline, "Fun, safe, and easy mobility." Irrway's key features are simple styling, ergonomic design, stable platform, and powerful drive, which make Irrway best suited for a contemporary India. Their approach is to use their limited resources in producing the product, and afterwards finding ways to convince customers to buy it, instead of spending their resources on doing market research first. Greenzyme Technologies was founded with a vision of developing green mobility products, which are green beyond the batteries and motors that go into an electric vehicle, and are green at every phase of their development. This approach is also known as being green from cradle to cradle, meaning the products are green at every phase of their development. Their initial idea was to sell B2B to enterprises like villas, airports, IT parks, golf courses, etc. Since the beginning, the product has garnered a lot of interest among these various market segments. As mentioned previously, the product was made with the Indian market in mind: uncomplicated, simple, safe, and cheap. Or, as the founder puts it, "My basic intention was not to build a competitor for Segway, but rather build a differentiated product targeted for an undeserved segment of so-called in-campus mobility within India." The basic core principles behind the conceptualization of Irrway are: launch a new product in green personal mobility space, which was not available in India; target a segment, also known as in-campus mobility, which the current electric vehicle manufacturers are not focusing on, and is also an untapped segment; and lastly, create a unique riding experience and cool factor, which will make Irrway an acceptable product for young crowds as well.
Now we would like to share some interesting facts and data with you guys in order for you to better understand the market the company is operating in. India's population size is currently around 1.3 billion. India has the largest youth generation in the world, as well as the world's largest democracy. It is currently the fifth largest economy in the world, and its service industry contributes to 2/3 of India's output. The growing economy has led to an increase in the living standard as well as in the purchasing power. Therefore, it has experienced a growing middle class and an increase in urbanization, but still over 60% of the population is living in rural areas. India is known to be one of the most unequal countries in the world regarding the income and the treatment of genders. From an international perspective, India is an attractive country for outsourcing and a cheap source for imports. As the company, in this case, is focusing on green vehicles, we will now take a look into the sustainability and the mobility in India. Regarding the sustainability, we found following data. India has the third highest greenhouse gas emission in the world, but their emission per capita is less than the world's average. India has a problem with many strong polluted cities, and nearly 70% of India's CO2 emission comes from the energy sector, especially from the use of fossil fuel. However, India is committed to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals of the UN, and they have established several governmental programs to promote sustainability. Therefore, India is one of the leading countries regarding the use of green energy and is overall successful to become a sustainable state. As for the mobility in India, it's important to know that India has the third largest transport network in the world, and their road network transport is used by over 60% of the population. But India has the world's highest reported number of annual road crash fatalities because they lack road safety. The most used transportation method in India are buses, and data show that the sales of two-wheelers dominate the automotive market. The last data we will look into is the electric vehicle market in India. India has experienced an increase in the rise of fuel costs, and therefore the population has become more interested in alternatives such as electric vehicles. The country has showed an increase in the buying of EVs, but the numbers are still low compared to other countries. And again, the sales of EVs were dominated by two-wheelers. In 2012, the government has decided to push the use of electric vehicles by lowering the costs and by offering tax benefits and by expanding the infrastructure for electric vehicles, but they are not as successful as they wish to be. Now we will come to a more theoretical part of this business. So in total we have 4 aspects that need to be taken into consideration when trying to commercialize this business. First we have the market, so things like material, the testing and certification of the green vehicles, the vehicle service after the selling, or just the overall electricity market should be looked into. Another important aspect is for sure the technology, so the safety, the charging time, or the efficiency of your batteries in your vehicles. Thirdly, we have policy, so things like taxation or the electricity tariff policy are equally important. And lastly, there is the infrastructure. So you would need to look into whether there is any charging infrastructure. Can the battery, for example, be recycled? So all these matters play an important part in this business, and it is more complex than it looks.
Here we have the SWOT analysis of Irrway. For the strengths, we have utility, safety, for example, the 3-wheel design that leads to balance, meaning that there are no self-balance issues. Price, it's cheaper than its competitor Segway and still affordable to the targeted segments. For the performance, it has a good pulling power and the drive is quiet and smooth. It has a green design, which means that it's 80% made out of recycled products, there are no emissions, and it's lightweight. For the manufacturing, it has a high quality made in India, which also means it's cheaper. And that it has the head turning capacity, unlike other already known products, because of its design. And all the immediate competitors are all sitting versions and don't offer the unique experience of standing while driving. For the weaknesses, we have the looks. It looks similar to Segway, which means there is no differentiation. It's a startup, which means it's an unknown brand. They have no reputation yet. It's unknown, and thus they did not prove themselves yet. There's also no regulation for the B2C market. It needs the regulation in order to get the vehicle on the road, which would take a lot of time, effort, and money, which is pretty difficult for a startup. The green design is also a weakness, because there's a lack of acceptance and a general feeling of green technology being expensive or not worth investing in India. Also, the manufacturing, the Made in India label translates for many people into bad manufacturing and bad quality. For the opportunities, we have the B2C market future. A company has to grow to a level where it has enough revenues and profits, which can be invested further to develop an Irrway variant along with the required regulation approvals to put Irrway on the road for a B2C customer. They have multiple target segments. They have the B2B segments like the golf courses, villa communities, gated communities, IT parks, government organizations like the tourism department, airports, and other organizations. For the threats, we have that Segway is a strong and renowned competitor and pretty strong. And that also electric scooters and bicycles are becoming more and more popular.
Now we're going to take a look at some things that are playing in favor of Irrway. In the past 10 years, many big campuses like IT parks, themed recreational parks, gated communities, villa communities, and resorts have sprung up in most of the major Indian metros. Alongside those, Golf courses, large government organizations, and big colleges are also fertile ground for a product like Irrway. The growth of these types of complexes increases the need for an in-campus personal mobility within these campuses. A vehicle like Irrway in those campuses will have enormous utility and can be effectively targeted to these campuses. Another reason was that the purchasing power of urban India was increasing every day. With the capability of higher purchasing power comes the desire to be different, own different types of items which are not conventional and which is not a common item owned by everybody. So, people might be ready to shell out that extra bit of cash to be able to differentiate oneself in the society, and Irrway is a unique way to do all that. And lastly, technology and battery advancements are making electric vehicles more attractive to consumers due to increasing convenience and affordability. Initially, they had three marketing strategies. The first one, business-to-business selling, with a minimal order of at least 10 vehicles to businesses who are interested. Second one, B2B rental mode. In this mode, Irrway would rent it out to businesses, with the businesses paying a rental fee for each vehicle it rents, with the entire possibility of maintenance and repairs of the vehicle owned by Greenzyme throughout the whole rental period. And the third mode, so-called the royalty mode, which is another form of rental mode where the businesses will not pay a direct rental for each of the vehicle, but will pay a royalty to Greenzyme on the revenue earned by the usage of the vehicle by those businesses. The main challenges that Greenzyme Technologies is faced with right now is the fact that they're not a known brand at the moment. As of yet, they are still not able to cater to the B2C market. The fact that made in India products still carry a lot of apprehension about quality and performance. Supply chain issues due to the limited access to electric vehicle related components and vendors in India, and an overall lack of acceptance of green vehicles in India. As a few potential solutions, we came up with the following. First off, trying to rent Irrway for a good price as much as possible in order to show its potential and break the old cliché that products made in India are always of bad quality. Next, find the most promising target sector by doing a lot of surveying. And lastly, trying to cooperate with government bodies such as the police, etc. Thank you very much for your attention, and we hope you have a nice day.